Part 1. Collision of Worlds. The transport ship shuddered violently as alarms blared across the bridge. Ethan Vance gripped the controls, his knuckles white. Sparks flew from the damaged console and the hum of the engines turned into a deafening roar. "Brace for impact," he shouted. The convoy was under attack. Space pirates, alien raiders, had jumped out of a hidden wormhole. They were fast, ruthless, and merciless. Ethan's ship, the Horizon Star, was a small transport craft carrying medical supplies and basic tools to a remote human colony. Today it felt as though the universe had conspired to crush him. A blast rocked the ship. Panels fell and smoke filled the cabin. Ethan's partner Tessa struggled to hold herself to the floor. "We're not going to make it," she yelled, coughing. Ethan's eyes darted to the viewport. In the distance, another ship was being torn apart. And then he saw it. Movement, small and fragile, near the wreckage of the other vessel. A child not human. Its skin shimmered with a faint blue glow and its large eyes were wide with terror. Ethan's heart skipped a beat. Alien or not, the child was in danger. He didn't think. Instinct took over. "Hold on, Tessa, I have to help," he said, wrenching the controls to veer toward the child. Another blast hit and the ship spun wildly. Ethan was thrown against the dashboard, pain stabbing his side. Blood ran down his temple, but he ignored it. The child's tiny form floated helplessly in the vacuum of space. He had seconds, almost there, he muttered, activating the emergency grappling hook. The cable shot out, latching onto the child's suit. Ethan tugged with all his strength, maneuvering the spinning ship to bring the child inside. The airlock hissed as he yanked the child into the cabin. Tessa rushed over, helping Ethan guide the small being into a secure container. "Is it alive?" she asked, her voice trembling. Ethan examined the child. It shivered, gasping. Its eyes locked onto his. And in that moment, Ethan felt a strange connection, an instinctive promise that he would protect this small life. "Yes," he said firmly. "It's alive, and it will stay alive." Another explosion rocked the ship. Ethan groaned as pain seared through his leg. Tessa supported him as he stumbled to the controls. "We need to get out of here," she shouted. He nodded. The child was safe in the containment pod, but the raiders were not giving up. They fired relentlessly, tearing chunks out of the ship. The alarms were deafening. Smoke burned their eyes, but Ethan pushed forward, using every trick he knew. He had grown up on Earth, trained in survival and quick thinking, but nothing in his life had prepared him for this. Piloting a fragile transport ship through the void, while aliens tried to destroy him, and a child of another species. But Ethan did not hesitate. Every human instinct, the courage, the will to survive, and the moral need to protect the weak guided him. Finally, after what felt like hours but was only minutes, he managed to escape the immediate danger. The raiders vanished into hyperspace, leaving the convoy in ruins. Ethan collapsed onto the floor, gasping. His blood soaked his uniform and pain stabbed his limbs. Tessa knelt beside him, worry etched into her face. "You did it," she whispered. "You saved it." Ethan barely nodded. His mind was on the child. The little being looked small, fragile, but alive. Somehow, against impossible odds, he had succeeded. And yet he felt the weight of what he had done, because saving a child, an alien child, would not go unnoticed. He didn't have to wait long to find out. A sudden, brilliant flash illuminated the wreckage outside the viewport. Ethan's stomach tightened. A ship unlike any he had seen before hovered in the void. Its design was elegant, almost organic, with light flowing across its hull like liquid metal. And then, standing on the observation deck, was her, the alien mother, Queen Sirali. Her skin shimmered like moonlight over water. Her eyes were sharp, intelligent, and full of authority. She radiated power, yet her gaze was fixed entirely on her child. Ethan's heart sank. Who are you?" he asked, though he knew she was no ordinary being. "You know who I am," she said, her voice melodious yet cold. "And you know what you have done?" Ethan swallowed. I didn't mean to." "You saved my child," she interrupted, stepping closer to the viewport. Her eyes glowed faintly. "And now, by the laws of my people, you owe your life to us." Ethan blinked. He had faced countless dangers, but nothing like this. Law's obligation? He had acted out of instinct, out of simple human compassion. He had never considered that it could bind him in some alien custom. I just saved a life," he said, trying to keep his voice steady. "I didn't do it for reward or debt." Sirali's expression softened slightly, though her eyes remained intense. "It does not matter. You risked everything for her. That is how our world works. You cannot undo it. Tessa, standing beside him, looked horrified. Ethan, what does she mean? Life debt? Ethan shook his head, grimacing. I don't know. But whatever it is, I have no choice. Sirali's ship descended, docking near the wrecked convoy. She stepped aboard the Horizon Star, her presence filling the room like sunlight breaking through clouds. The child, Lyra, stirred in her containment pod and immediately reached out for her mother. Sirali's gaze softened as she held Lyra close. But then she looked back at Ethan, piercing through his injuries and exhaustion. You are human, she said quietly, almost to herself. Fragile, but extraordinary. Ethan felt a strange warmth at her words. The aliens had always viewed humans as weak, fragile, and unworthy. But somehow in her eyes he saw admiration, even awe. I only did what any human would do, Ethan said quietly, looking away. He felt pain in every part of his body, but he could not stop himself from standing tall. I couldn't leave her to die. Sirali tilted her head, studying him. Your species is remarkable. Courage, compassion. You have qualities we thought impossible. Ethan's chest swelled slightly, but he quickly suppressed the pride. He was a survivor, not a hero. Yet he could not deny the satisfaction of being recognized. Suddenly, the child in the pod stirred, looking up at Ethan with wide, trusting eyes. Ethan knelt and held out a hand, letting Lyra touch it. The small hand wrapped around his finger, fragile yet full of life. Stay safe, little one, he whispered. I promise I'll protect you. Sirali watched silently, her expression unreadable. Then she stepped forward. By the customs of my people, she said, her voice firm, anyone who saves my child must accept their claim. You are now bound to us, human, not by force but by law. Ethan felt the weight of her words. His mind raced. He had saved Lyra without thinking, yet now his actions had consequences he could never have imagined. Tessa placed a hand on his shoulder. Ethan, what will you do? He took a deep breath. I'll protect her, if that's what it takes. I can't leave her alone. Sirali's eyes softened once more, though her posture remained regal. Very well. You will stay with us, human. You will learn our ways, and in time you will understand your place. For now your task is simple, protect Lyra. Nothing more. Ethan nodded, knowing he had no choice. The child's life was in his hands. And though he did not yet understand what the future held, one thing was clear. Humans were stronger, braver, and more determined than the aliens had ever imagined. And that strength, that humanity, would be tested beyond anything Ethan had ever faced. The Horizon Star rested among the wreckage, smoke curling from broken panels, but inside a small light glowed, a human light, a determination to survive, to protect, and to prove that even in a galaxy of powerful aliens, humans could stand tall. Ethan's journey had only just begun. Ethan woke to a soft humming light. His body ached from head to toe, every muscle screaming from the injuries he had sustained during the attack. His leg throbbed, a deep burning pain that made every movement difficult. The medics had done their best to patch him up, but he knew full recovery would take time. He tried to sit up, only to feel a hand gently press him back down. Rest, Tessa said, sitting beside him. Her face was pale, eyes worried. You're still injured. You need to let your body heal. Ethan grimaced, allowing himself to lean back. His mind, however, was far from resting. He could still see the child, Lyra, floating helplessly in space. He could still feel the panic in her wide, glowing eyes. And now he couldn't forget Queen Sirali's words. You are now bound to us, human, not by force but by law. Ethan clenched his fists. He had acted out of instinct, not for duty, not for reward, not even for recognition. Yet now, the consequences of his compassion were pressing down on him like gravity. Ethan, Tessa whispered, we need to understand them. Their laws, their customs. We're in their world now. If we want to survive? Ethan nodded slowly. She was right. Resistance was pointless, not yet. Survival and understanding came first. The chamber door slid open with a soft hiss. A figure entered, her presence commanding attention. Ethan's breath caught. Queen Sirali stepped forward, her long, flowing robes shimmering under the soft light. Even in this room, her presence radiated authority. Human, she said, her voice calm but firm. You have done what no one of your kind could have done. You risked everything for my child. That alone demands respect, Ethan swallowed. I didn't think. I only wanted to keep her safe. Sirali's eyes softened slightly, though they remained intense. That is exactly what I find remarkable. In my world, survival often outweighs morality. Decisions are made for gain or advantage. But you acted without calculation. You chose compassion over self-interest. Tessa leaned closer, whispering, Ethan, she admires you. Ethan shook his head. I didn't do it for admiration. I did it because it was right. Sirali observed him, her glowing eyes studying every line of his face. Your species is unusual. Humans are fragile, yet your bravery, your instinct to protect is unmatched. You are a living example that strength is not measured in size or weapons, but in heart and mind. Ethan blinked, trying to process her words. Recognition from her, an alien queen, was almost surreal. But there was a warning in her tone. Her admiration did not remove the law binding him to her family. You are bound, human. You cannot refuse. But do not misunderstand this as imprisonment. You will stay by choice as your morality demands. You will learn our ways, and in time you may even teach us your ways. Ethan's stomach tightened. Teach you? Sirali nodded. Yes. Your actions have already begun to challenge the assumptions of my people. Perhaps there is more to your kind than we believed. At that moment, Lyra stirred from the containment pod. The small child's glowing eyes widened as she recognized Ethan. She reached out with tiny hands, her voice a soft gurgle that carried a tone of recognition. Ethan knelt beside the pod, letting the child's small hands brush against his fingers. It's okay, Lyra, he whispered. You're safe now. I'm here. Sirali's gaze softened as she watched the exchange, but then her expression shifted back to seriousness. Your first task, human, is to protect her. Nothing more. But understand this, your presence will not be ignored. Many of my people are skeptical of humans. They will test you, question you, and perhaps even resent you. You must endure. Ethan nodded, though his body ached with fatigue. I'll do what I must. The next few days were a whirlwind. Ethan moved slowly, still recovering from his injuries, but he observed the alien world around him. The colony they had arrived at was unlike any human settlement he had ever seen. The buildings seemed alive, their surfaces smooth and reflective, shimmering in colors that shifted like sunlight on water. Alien workers moved with grace, their motions precise and coordinated, yet lacking warmth. He realized quickly that the aliens operated on strict rules and hierarchy. Decisions were made with logic, calculation, and a focus on survival and efficiency. Compassion was rare, and empathy was often seen as a weakness. Ethan, however, noticed that the children, Lyra included, reacted differently around him. His simple kindness, his willingness to bend down to their level made them trust him immediately. Lyra reached for him repeatedly, giggling when he made funny faces or mimicked her tiny gestures. It was then that Ethan understood the power of human instinct. It was not just courage, but empathy, compassion, and the ability to connect with others, even across species. Sirali visited him daily, sometimes alone, sometimes with her advisors. Each time she observed him carefully, testing his reactions. Human, she said one morning, my people are curious. Many doubt your kind strength, but your actions have already proven them wrong. How do you endure pain and danger and still act with morality? Ethan considered the question. I don't know. I guess we learn to value life. Even if it's not ours, maybe it's in our nature to fight for others, not just ourselves. Sirali's eyes glowed faintly, as if she were measuring the truth of his words. Indeed, that is remarkable. You are not like the humans we once believed. You possess something extraordinary. Tessa, watching from the corner, whispered, Ethan, they're learning from you. They're seeing humans differently because of you. Ethan shrugged. I just did what felt right. That's all humans really do. We act when we must and hope we survive. But not all aliens were impressed. In the following days, several officials approached him, some with thinly veiled hostility. They questioned his motives, mocked his species, and tried to intimidate him. You are foolish, one officer sneered. Humans are weak. You survived only because of luck, not skill. Ethan met his gaze calmly. Maybe luck helped, but so did thinking and caring. You can plan all you want, but sometimes the right choice is the one that saves a life, not wins a battle. The officer's eyes narrowed, but Ethan did not flinch. His confidence, quiet but unyielding, drew attention. Others began to murmur among themselves. Slowly, respect, cautious and grudging, began to replace doubt. Even Sorali seemed pleased. "You see, human," she said during one of her visits, "your morality is as strong as your courage. My people will learn from you whether they like it or not." Ethan allowed himself a small smile. "I only hope they learn the right lessons." As the days passed, Ethan's bond with Lyra grew stronger. He learned her small gestures, her sounds, her moods. Protecting her became instinctive, just as it had been in the vacuum of space. And Lyra, in turn, trusted him completely, a tiny being placing her life in human hands. One evening, as the twin moons of the alien planet rose over the shimmering city, Sorali approached Ethan with a serious expression. "You have earned my respect," she said, "but the law remains. You are claimed by my family. Soon there will be ceremonies, tests, and duties that you must perform. You will face challenges designed not only to test your strength but your heart." Ethan nodded. "I understand. I'll do whatever it takes to keep her safe." Sorali's eyes softened slightly. "Good. Remember this, human. Strength is measured not only by survival, but by the courage to act rightly when survival is not guaranteed. You have already proven this. Now you will prove it again. Every day." Ethan looked at Lyra sleeping peacefully in her small pod and felt a renewed sense of purpose. He was injured, tired, and uncertain of what the future held. Yet one thing was clear. He would protect this child and, in doing so, show these aliens the power of humanity, because humans, fragile as they seemed, were capable of courage, compassion, and resilience beyond imagining, and Ethan would prove it, no matter the cost. Word count, 1520.